What would you get if you combined every gaming console in existence as well as a PC and packed it into a handheld the price of a Nintendo Switch? You would get something unbeatable. This is the Steam Deck. It's basically every gaming console in existence as well as a PC packed into a handheld that you can buy for the price of a Nintendo Switch. And this is why no company will ever make something greater than the Steam Deck. When the Steam Deck released in 2022, it was one of a kind. The only other things like it at the time were very obscure Chinese handheld PCs that you would have to pay over $1,000 for. The Steam Deck did well, or at least better than Valve's other attempts at making hardware. And as we all know, every masterpiece has its cheap copy, or in this case, expensive copy. The ROG Ally released in June of 2023, and it was the first other handheld PC released by a large company, Asus. This also made it the first real competitor to the Steam Deck. Not long after, the handheld PC market grew with companies like Lenovo with their Legion Go or Intel with their MSI Claw. And that brings us to today. There are so many different options to choose from multiple different companies. Why would anyone still buy a Steam Deck? I believe there are three answers to this, starting off with number one, integration. Unlike Asus, Lenovo, or Intel, Valve isn't primarily a hardware company, rather a software company. They're the ones that own Steam, the largest online gaming marketplace. Basically, if you want to buy a PC game, Steam is where you go. Valve owning both Steam and the Steam Deck means that they can integrate it in ways that no other company can. If you go to a game on Steam, you can see how it'll run on the Steam Deck based on Valve's testing. If you go to the Steam Points shop, you can buy alternate keyboards and startup movies for the Steam Deck. There's even an entire section of the store that only has games that will run well on Steam Deck. However, Valve's integration goes past just the Steam store. The entire new Big Picture mode on Steam was made for Steam Deck. The menus fit the deck's screen perfectly, and it just feels native. It's obvious that Valve paid attention to small details when designing the Steam Deck's UI. Here's one quick detail I like about the deck's UI. If you're running a game in 720p, you'll have a little bit of space left on the top and bottom of the screen because the Steam Deck's aspect ratio is actually slightly taller than normal 16:9. This means that if you turn on the performance overlay on that game, it'll fit perfectly into that little space you have at the top of your screen. The deck's integration into Steam is not the only reason it has an edge over other handhelds. Another reason is price. The Steam Deck is cheaper than almost every other handheld PC on the market, and like integration, this is something only a company like Valve can achieve. To understand why, let's take a look at Xbox, specifically the Series S. You can buy a brand new Xbox Series S from Microsoft for $299. If you want to buy a PC that can run games about as well as a Series S, you'll probably pay around $574. Microsoft is actually paying more to make the Xbox than they sell it for. And the same is true for Valve and the Steam Deck. If that's true, then how do these companies make a profit? It's simple. Unlike Asus or Lenovo, which only make money selling their hardware, companies like Microsoft and Valve own digital marketplaces. When you buy a game off Steam, Valve takes a cut, so they don't need to make money on the Steam Deck. They just need a way for people to buy games on Steam. And the Steam Deck is what gets people on Steam to then buy games. The final reason to pick the Steam Deck over other handheld PCs right now is not something to do with the deck itself, but rather the community. The Steam Deck's community is larger than that of any other handheld PC. The vast ecosystem of mods, guides, and support systems the community has made for the Steam Deck are truly impressive. Want to run a game that isn't natively supported? Want to install Windows, emulators, or custom firmware? Want to tweak your deck's performance settings for best battery life? There are hundreds of videos, discussions, and tools already available for that. While the ROG Ally or Legion Go do have communities, they're a lot smaller than the Steam Decks. This level of community support with the Steam Deck means that even if Valve hasn't published an official solution to something, you can be confident that some dedicated user has already found a solution and shared their findings online. And the community doesn't stop at just software. You can find several cases where people have created hardware mods for the Steam Deck as well. This one user created a dual screen mod that you can emulate 3DS games on. And this user attached a little fan on the back of the Steam Deck for better cooling. So, the answer to the question, why would anyone still buy a Steam Deck, is simple. No other company has the level of control over both the hardware and the software, allowing Valve to create an experience that feels native and polished. No other handheld PC manufacturer can afford to sell their device at a loss, making the Steam Deck the best value on the market. And no other handheld PC has a community as large as the Steam Deck's, ensuring that users always have access to solutions, modifications, and improvements. So as companies like Asus, Lenovo, Intel, or even Aya Neo try and compete, they will never be able to make something better than the Steam Deck.